Assalamu alaikum, dear audience. This is Sanobar Sultan, and here you are watching another video on Sanobar's World. So, today, the topic of our discussion is titled Yusuf and the Chasing Zulaikha. Now, this is actually a story, a real story of a prophet known in the East as Yusuf and in the West as Joseph. And this is present in all three Abrahamic traditions. Now, the three common themes, which are, there's a story, and then the main aspect is what are the themes of the story? What is it that you get out of the story? So, we are going to discuss the story of Yusuf and Zulaikha, but what is the lesson from it? And this story has three main themes, which I'm going to discuss. The first is jealousy. The second is Zulaikha, which would be the major chunk of the story of this video. And the third is the reward of abstaining from wrongdoing at the end. Now, the first theme of the story is of jealousy. And at the beginning of the story, where Yusuf's brothers are jealous of their father's preferential treatment, preferential love for Yusuf, the brothers, they one day take leave from their father and say, can we take him to play with us? And when they take Yusuf, they actually throw him in the well. And when they come home, they're weeping and they tell their father that Yusuf was actually eaten by a wolf. Whereas in fact, the brothers had thrown him in a deep well. Now, the second aspect of the story is that Yusuf is taken out of the well when travelers are passing by. And those travelers, they sent their water boy with his bucket into the well, and the water boy found Yusuf in the well. So the travelers, they decided to sell Yusuf as a slave in the market. Consequently, a man from Egypt bought Yusuf and told his wife, and brought him home and told his wife that he had bought this boy who would be working as a slave in their house. Well, his wife, rather than seeing him as a house help, her name was Zulaikha. Zulaikha, in fact, became attracted to Yusuf and tried to seduce him. One day, she locked the doors and ordered Yusuf, as said in the Quran, verse number 23. So Surah Yusuf is chapter number 12, verse number 23, quote, "Come to me," unquote. Yusuf said that he would not betray the trust of his master. He ran towards the door and she ran towards the door. So they both ran towards the door, and she tore his shirt from the back, only to find her husband at the door. And then said to her husband that it was actually Yusuf who was after her. Yusuf said the opposite and said that actually she was after him. And she was trying to seduce him. Well, eventually someone from Zulaikha's family came to, suggested, which is narrated in verse number 26 and 27, quote, "If his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he's a liar. But if it is torn from the back, then she has lied and he is truthful," unquote. So they had to examine the shirt of Yusuf. Well, of course, it was torn from the back, and her husband called her out for it. Well, the other women in the city started to gossip about Zulaikha trying to seduce her slave boy. When Zulaikha heard this, she set a banquet for them, for all the ladies, and asked Yusuf to come in their presence. When the women of the city saw the beauty of Yusuf, they were so taken aback by his beauty that they cut their hands, because Zulaikha had purposefully given them knives before Yusuf would enter the room. Well, Zulaikha was still not over the rejection by Yusuf. And in her heart, she said he would pay for it. Well, how did she? She sent Yusuf to jail. And he stayed in jail for several years. He used to, and in the jail, Yusuf used to interpret dreams for other prisoners. And of course, there's more to it, you can read it. But eventually it all worked out at the end, as Yusuf is steadfast in his belief and abstinence from wrongdoing. But here's the thing. What I want to discuss, the important aspect of the Zulaikha story, is a lesson, is a theme that I want to discuss. Now, the theme is, in our current setting, it is usually the practice that, the standard practice, they say, that women and men are not equal. And in the sense that when a man says something, it carries worth. And when a woman says something, even though it may be valid, is not equal to the worth of what the man is saying. So what men say is believed and what women say is disregarded. This is the general practice. However, in this story, there's a very different lesson here. When so here, what Zulaikha said was taken as valid, and Yusuf was sent to jail. So when what a woman says becomes the truth over what a man says. What a woman says is valid is when a woman is in a position of dominance and from an upper class as compared to the man. You see, when does what a woman say carries more weightage than what a man says? I'm going to repeat this. That is when among the two, the woman is in a dominant position and the woman is from an upper class. That is what the woman says has more weightage, even though she may be lying. And in this story of Yusuf, the man is a slave. She and Zulaikha and Yusuf are not equal in social status, even though he is a man. And because of her, he spent years in jail, even though she was the one who was after him. So this is a very different story that comes out, because of course there are other narrations in the Holy Quran about, for example, the piety of Hazrat Maryam or Mary, who was a pious lady. But here in this story, this woman, Zulaikha, is from a dominant position who is after Yusuf, and then Yusuf has to pay the price even though he's a man. So yeah, but at the end, for Yusuf, for Joseph, the truth reigned and the truth comes out, and Allah rewards Yusuf at the end, because eventually, by making Yusuf the king of Egypt, he was reunited with his father and forgave his brothers for throwing him in the well in the first place. So life is basically the the ending of this all is that life is basically a test, and you have to do good and abstain from evil. And yeah, maybe life is a test from God, and at the end, truth and good prevails, and those who do good are helped by divine providence, and those who do evil and think of themselves as gods on earth will eventually be brought to shame in this world or the hereafter. So that was the video for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that little aspect of a true story from the Quran, and as I said, mentioned in other Abrahamic traditions, and that aspect of when a woman and a man are not equal, even though he might be telling the truth. So that was the story. So till next time, take care. Bye bye.